to a new edition of Coleman's Corner here in the new year. Revamped, more in depth, and a lot more fun. I'm joined this morning by the only Executive Director of Athletics, Robert Coleman.
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here, and that's the first basket you made in the new year, so congratulations.
Hey, there you go. I like it.
I like the new logo, Lance. It came out nice.
I know, yeah. Your wife, Vicky, really helped us out with this logo. It looks sharp. We have a couple options here, but she did a fantastic job with it, so hats off to Vicky for helping us with that. But here, right off from the get-go, we left off in 2013, right before the Christmas break, talking about men's water polo. Sky champs, first time being in NCAA championships, and being number one in the CWA polls for the third year. Now, let's talk more about that since we left off there last year.
Well, you know, I would first off, as you bring up this clip here, congratulations to men's water polo. What an awesome achievement, and for folks who weren't able to be at the game, such as myself, unfortunately, because I was in Brazil working on some work here for the school. But I will tell you what these guys were up against. Going into overtime, the way that happened, and then being down one goal in overtime and fighting back to tie, and then getting the win. I mean, it made this victory even more special. That these guys were able to, handle that pressure and suck it up and get a victory. So kudos to the men's water polo. What a great job finishing the season number one in the country again in Division III. Having that opportunity to go to the NCAAs for the first time in the history of our school, playing Stanford. Obviously the odds were stacked against us in that match. But and then what we're bringing back. The great thing is if these guys keep it together and we don't get too cocky or above ourselves. I mean, they have a chance to do it again next year with the returners. So great job by men's water polo. I can't thank them enough for their hard work and effort, to Coach Pudwell and his staff with Sean and our GAs, and just a great job to bring a championship. It's been long overdue in my tenure.
Yeah, I was going to say you're first.
And I'm glad, obviously, Justin was probably one of the first younger coaches, I guess, we have in our staff that we hired about 6 years ago, and couldn't have come to a better person. He's worked super hard, and glad that pool has helped in our momentum up the chart. So congratulations to men's water polo.
Fantastic. So now moving over to basketball and the winter season. We're going to talk about Tyree Landrum. Hurt himself in the second game of the season. The all-sky performer from last year, the senior center who everyone relies on, who head coach Rock Carter relies on. He's done a great job last season. Hurt himself, but he's now been back for the past 4 or 5 games. And what does he bring to head coach Rock Carter's team?
Well, I mean, you just said it. I mean, you're bringing back an all-conference player like it's like a new transfer to our team, right? I mean, not too many teams are able to get an all-conference performer to come back. He's a difference maker for us. When he's on the floor and we're not in a situation where he's in a personal foul situation and he's on the floor for us, he's a difference maker. He's a rebounder, shot blocker, huge body, huge presence in the middle. So we need him to stay on the floor, stay healthy for us if we're going to, accomplish what we want to accomplish, which is to win the championship. And the first step is that starts tonight. We have a big game against Oxy. We're 0-2 in the conference without him. And we need to go on a little run here. We got 2 home games this week. Starts tonight. We get back in this thing hopefully over the next 2-3 conference games. And, I guess our feelings of winning a championship are back, back in full swing then.
Correct. So making playoffs for the 4th time for men's basketball, they're definitely the favorite going in here. Granted, they're 0-2, but they have a lot of basketball left to play here in the season. But now moving to the opposite side, women's basketball. What do they have to do to get a win this season? They're 0-11. They've been struggling on the road, but here at home, they've been battling. Sky opponents, they've been really close. They just battled this last game against Concordia, falling 92-85. So they've been battling with a very young squad, but what are they going to have to do?
Well, again, Lance, I think you kind of hit on it. They're playing really hard. We have a young team, and this kind of happens with young teams. One of our, I think, weaknesses is our height. We're not super tall. The girls in the post are working super hard, but that's a negative for us right now is our lack of height. But everyone is playing tremendously hard. The last 3-4 games that I've witnessed, they're putting it all out there on the floor. You can't ask for more than that. We have tremendous guard play right now. Our younger guards are playing like sophomores, though they're freshmen. And they're going to get some wins. It's going to happen. There's no question. If they continue to play with that intensity every single night, they will get some victories here. There's no question. And who knows? I think we're going to upset a couple teams that on paper we're not even supposed to be if they play this hard every single night.
And it starts tomorrow night, against Oxy, and then against Pomona this coming Saturday. And these are two beatable opponents. They're definitely, Oxy just lost to Cal Lutheran, who was kind of at the bottom of the conference standings with us, and they just lost to them too. So these teams coming up for us are beatable teams.
Listen,
and then we got Caltech after that, so we could get a little run going.
No question that they can turn their whole season around with a solid week this week in conference. I mean, heck, we had CMS and we let them out of the box. Again, young team, we make young bad decisions on the late in games, but hopefully that's gonna change with a bad turnover or a bad this or a bad foul. That's got to change as well. We've got to make better decisions late in basketball games. But with our guard play right now, with our hard work from all the ladies when they get in the game, that effort, if they continue to give that effort that I've watched over the last 3-4 games, I think we can turn our season around with a strong week this week.
Correct. Hopefully with the help of Priscilla Rodriguez, a freshman who's been on a tear thus far. Now, here under Hot Topics, we have one last thing we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the SCIAC standings, the current positions where we sit, kind of where we sit with the other teams in our conference, and kind of what we need to do in order to improve to move up within the top 5.
Well, Lance, this is the SCIAC chart for their all sports standings, which every year at the end of the year in May, the SCIAC has an award dinner. And the winner over the last X amount of years has been CMS and Redlands. They've kind of battled it out as the two top teams. And this is kind of the benchmark for us, for our program, to kind of see, how we're improving. Last year, I think we finished somewhere around 7th place. I think currently we're in, 5th or 6th, or excuse me, I think we're in 6th place right now after the fall season. But we're a few points off of moving into the top 4. And that's a credit again to the the soccer and water polo that had just tremendous seasons for us. So this is our gauge. One of the things that I've seen over the few years is our men have done a bit better than our women, and that's really the area we need to improve the best in to move into that top 4 in our conference is our women's all sports standings. In the springtime, obviously we look for softball. We're going to look a little more towards women's tennis to make a move. Because we're really confident and happy with what Ben's done with that team right now. We have to look at what water polo can do for us. Can they get into that top 3 for us? What can we do at track? So all of those things are necessary. And again, it's the same with women's basketball. Though our record isn't what we want it to be in conference, you turn your whole season around right here this week. You get back to 2-2. Mm-hmm. You're right back in it. And so that's something that we really need to focus in because the teams who win this, quite honestly, they're really consistent both ways. It's not just the men's getting, 60 points and the women are getting 20. It's a combination of, 50 and 50, 55 and 55. And for us for the last few years, our men have been really, really strong. Our women have kind of trailed, and we need to actually pick that piece up of how we're finishing in the conference.
And right now, we have the same amount of points after the fall that we did last year too. That's actually pretty good, even with our women being winless right now, and women's soccer only getting 1 win. So that's actually still pretty good, and football only getting 1 win.
Yeah,
so it's really good.
And I think that's the point of it. That's the beauty of what CMS and Redlands have been able to do. It's the consistency in their program, year in and year out in the sports. Last year football got us X amount of points, but then this year, we lost points. But those points were picked up by water polo because they won. But, if water polo wins next year and football goes 6-3 and women's soccer, gets, 10 wins in the conference and blah, 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 and now all of a sudden, you're sitting in 2nd place after the fall.
Correct.
So that's been our issue is the consistency. Every year in certain sports, instead of having a drop off, we've got to be consistent. Like men's soccer. Men's soccer has been very, very consistent.
Correct.
A 4th place finish, a 2nd place finish, a 3rd place finish. That's what we need from all of our teams as we move forward.
Okay, so all sports standings currently sitting 5th, 6th place right now. After the fall, we'll have to wait and see, and we're expecting a big spring and the end of this winter season actually to make big strides in these standings.
Absolutely.
So now moving into the next segment of our Coleman's Corner, we have it's called 5 Good Minutes. So we're going to be talking for the next 5 minutes about some of these topics here going on within Poet Athletics. The first topic, everyone's kind of been talking about, Deontay Jackson. First team All-SCIAC wide receiver, BSN All-American for us this year. Is he going to be around here next season? There's been talk about him going to leave for the NFL draft. Is he good enough to play at the next level? So what's your take on that?
Well, I think, folks need to understand with Deontay. He's a good young man. He had a great season for us. But, my conversations with Deontay, it really has come down to finances for him. Can he afford to come back here? The debt that he was going to incur to stay at this school was going to be almost insurmountable for him. And, the way he's grown up and so forth and with his family. So, don't know if he is going to come back. He's not registered right now, obviously, for Jan term class. There's been interest from the NFL with Deontay. The Dallas Cowboys have called about him. The San Diego Chargers have called me on multiple weeks here about Deontay. Even the Carolina Panthers have had some interest. So he has aspirations. He has the physical build for an NFL-type player. And so he is going to get a chance or an opportunity. He's going to get looked at. He's going to have a tryout. And we're going to see where that takes. Obviously, as long as he doesn't sign with an agent, that's the bottom line to that piece. But I would tell you right now, it's 50-50 whether he's coming back or not. He definitely has aspirations, and if the workouts go well, I would imagine he's not coming back because that dollar bill on the end of this towards graduation, I think in his mind it's not really something he wants to tackle after because. Even the credits that were transferred, he actually got moved back to almost freshman status.
Really? Wow.
So I think that's the thing is, it wasn't just going to be one more year, even though he had one more year of eligibility. It was going to be 3 more years to get a degree. So,
correct.
So I think that's kind of where we're at.
And he would have only had 1 more year to play
that's
anyway.
Correct.
So
that's correct.
Maybe a good decision, but. Right now, they're even talking about him being better than Damon Fuchs, who was very good last year. They even talked about him being better than Rodgers, who came out of Kowloon, got signed by the Cowboys, but then got cut at the very end on the final tryouts. But they're saying that his speed, his agility, everything about him is a bit better than those guys. And so that's why what gives him a great shot to make it to the NFL.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys are different. Obviously
Correct.
Rodgers had an awesome opportunity with the Cowboys here. Going late into training camp, and he just signed a contract, from what I understand, with the Indoor Football League. And so, and Dameron obviously had a great season for us.
Correct.
So they're both different style of players. Took Deontay a few games to kind of get into it, but once he did, he had a tremendous season. Anytime you get 1,200 yards in 9 games, says a lot. So again, it depends how hard he works, what he's doing. Hopefully he has one or 2 good tryouts, and I'm sure he'll get a nibble in free agency.
So right now, we have this highlight video that the Whittier College Sports Network put together that we're going to take a look at here so you can kind of see what we're looking at. Deontay Jackson, 6'3", 215 pounds from Oakland, California. And we're going to play this here. Pretty short clip, but you'll have an understanding of kind of what we're looking at here as he looks to make it into the NFL. 58 receptions, 1,114 yards, 10 touchdowns, averaging 123.8 a game. Unbelievable stats.
Yeah, he had a great season. It goes to, new kid coming to campus, and he's a real physical presence. Very, very difficult to take him down with one person.
And he gets up, too. He's able to go after that ball, which makes him so lethal on the outside. And you'll be able to see that in this highlight video, how well he gets up. Just like in the Florida State game, the freshman who made that game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, Deontay's not quite as tall as him, but... definitely has a lot of athleticism and
exactly, just like that play.
For him to break in, though, Lance, he's going to have to be a special teams kind of guy.
Correct.
Someone who arrives to practice early, leaves late, works super hard, willing to do anything in coaching because, to step in and to make an NFL team, the odds are so slim to even have a chance at that. But, it's going to be all that kind of stuff. Can he tackle? Can he get physical? Because they're going to ask him to do all the dirty work.
Correct.
As a D3 player, that's just what's going to happen.
But he's got the body just like the Damon Fuchs that everyone talked about. He's got the build of an NFL wide receiver. And even when we were at the NFL morning show with Michael Irvin, you could see, how does he compare with Irvin? Size-wise, they're about the same. But granted, Irvin's one of the best wide receivers of all time.
Yeah, and he hasn't played in about 10 years.
Correct, yeah.
So, Michael Irvin was a special player. I don't think we can be comparing Michael
Definitely
Irvin
not. Definitely not.
to Deontay right now. So, but a great season for the kid, absolutely.
It was, and imagine having him and Jameron on the same team at the same time. But again, we have Mikael Ruiz-Macabre coming back. So, a lot of good receivers, young receivers coming out for next year for the football program. So, that's going to do it here for Deontay Jackson. Now moving into the next part, we're going to talk about women's golf. Women's golf had their first year last year as a program. They have 2 girls that made all SCIAC with Ayaka Hamato, Kendra Wu. Kendra Wu is unable to return due to one of her grants being cut, so we ended up losing out on her. But we ended up adding a very talented lady for the women's team this year. But are they going to have enough players to compete this year?
Yeah, they're going to have enough. It's going to be close. So, I think we'll have 5 players on the team, and I think obviously look, when we added this, we knew it was going to take some time to build this up. It wasn't going to be a one-year thing, and we were going to be winning championships. The great thing that I feel really confident about is Mike's got some great recruits coming in for next year already.
Great.
That we're ahead of the curve there. That next year we should have 9 or 10 players on the team. And for any new coach, any new program, it's going to take 3 to 5 years to kind of get it to where you want to get it. So I think this year we'll surprise some people, though we have a small roster with our talent. I think we'll be fine. We'll get through the season. Hopefully we'll battle in our conference a little bit. We're not going to win the championship in the conference because, look, we've got 2 or 3 teams in our conference already.
Very good.
Top 25 teams in the country. And that's our goal. Our goal is to be there. But the great thing is that Mike kind of, being new to this and figuring out recruiting and all that, he's ahead of the curve for next year. And that's what we're recruiting for right now. Right now, as we speak, we're on to some freshmen, we're on to some JC kids who are very, very interested, who are applying to the school. So next year should be the really beginning, that 3 through 5 year period of where we're going to be.
Okay, great. And led by this individual, Ayaka Hamato.
Yep.
She got 1 year left, but both of those 2 individuals that we have it's going to be awesome to watch.
They're all conference type players for us. That
very good.
The difference will be what 3 through 5 will do for us, and can they shoot some good scores? Because though our 1-2 are going to shoot good scores, it's all about what happens on the back end. No different than tennis. Your 1-2 win, but if you lose 3 through 6, you're going to lose the match.
Of course.
So.
And I even feel bad going out there because I know they shoot way better than I do. So,
that goes without saying for both of us. Right?
Yeah, right?
They can teach us a few things.
Exactly. So I know I'm looking forward to the spring to get out there and maybe learn a few things from these ladies. But now moving into, we talked about men's basketball. Do they have a shot to make the SCIAC playoffs this year?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Not only do they have a shot to make the playoffs, they have a shot to win the whole thing. But it starts tonight. I think it goes back. We can talk all we want. We can say, hey, we're going to win the championship, whatever, but the talk is cheap. It's all about what we do out on the basketball floor. We have the athleticism, we're as athletic as any team in the conference. We've got to make good basketball decisions while we're playing the games, and we're going to win a lot of games. And that's what it comes down to. So not only can we make the playoffs, we can win the championship. It's a mindset. It's what if these guys want to do it, then we'll do it. But they've got to make good basketball decisions. We've got plenty of talent on this basketball team to go deep into the season. And it's really upon these guys now, instead of talking about we're going to win them, it's about just doing it now. And that's the bottom line. And if they do it the way that we think and we know they can do it, then we'll be adding, this year's team onto that banner in the back. Now, I don't necessarily know if we're the favorite. Well, I don't think anyone can talk that we're the favorite. CMS has got to be the favorite. Redlands is though they're having, they're 1-1. People might say, hey, they're down, but they're the ones who have been winning championships in our conference, the Redlands and the CMSs.
But anyone can beat anybody on any given day that you can see.
Absolutely. That's why you need to bring it. That's why you need to play consistent basketball, like we're talking about the ladies a little while ago, about bringing that effort. The men have to bring the effort every single night. You can't just rely on talent every night. You're going to have a bad shooting night. Things are going to go wrong, and it's got to come from the defensive end. We've got to play great defense every single night, keep people in the 60s, because we can score. We'll score 70, 80 points. But if we let teams get up in the 80, then they're going to be, those games can go either way.
Correct.
But when we get down to it with our athleticism and we play defense and keep teams in the 60s to low 70s, we're going to win a lot of basketball games. And that's what we have to do. And we also have to learn how to win on the road. Because when you don't win on the road, you put a lot of pressure on yourself having to win all the games at home. Mm-hmm. And in college, at any sport, eventually, it's very, the odds are you're going to lose a game. So we got to go on the road. We didn't perform well on the road against Redlands and Chapman early on. We've got to learn how to go to Laverne or go to Oxy or go to CMS. And we got to get victories. It takes some pressure off you to having to win all the games at home. We got these 2 games at home. There is pressure on us. We got to get after it this week and get off and get back to that 500 level and get our season back where we need to get.
Protect home court advantage, and it's difficult to play here in the GAC. Probably one of the toughest places in the conference.
When we get our crowd, we get our crowd here, and they're supporting our teams, it's a very, very tough place to play. It's a very collegiate gymnasium. It's an awesome feeling. I mean, I've been in this, as you have, when this place is rocking, and it is an absolute advantage to us. And I hope the kids do come out over jam term and really support these guys.
I'm hoping. So I'm going to really try and push those kids to come out, but it's always a great atmosphere, especially with a big game against Pomona coming up, but even tonight it's going to be a big game starting off.
One game at a time, Lance, and starts tonight.
Correct. Okay, now moving into, men's soccer. Tough, disappointing loss to Cal Lutheran in the opening round of the playoffs last year. We all know about that. But do they have a shot to return to the playoffs again next season, despite losing 7 key seniors, especially key starters, to that lineup, even with the inclusion of Redlands now this upcoming year, who's able to compete in the playoffs now this year after the little sanction they had?
I mean, I think if you look at soccer, it's just become more competitive.
Correct.
Each year. I mean, Cal Lutheran now makes the playoffs, and not only makes the playoffs, they win the championship. Chapman is a consistent top 4 or 5 team. So the pressure is always on you. And yes, we're losing players, but we lost some really good players last year.
True.
And we competed really well. So I think Shea gets that piece. I mean, he's out there recruiting his tail off. He knows what he's got to replace. We feel really, really confident that we'll be a top 4 team. And, Redlands gets back in the mix, so it will make it obviously more difficult maybe to make the top 4, but that's what we expect. We expect it to be difficult. We don't want it to be easy. I mean, that's why, when you beat a CMS in the playoffs at water polo, you beat the best, and so that's what, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate what happened. Kudos to Cal Lu for doing what they did. They got hot at the right time, and they used that, and they propelled themselves to a championship. So, and that's what we need to do. We're still right there on the door, ready to kick it down. Shea's got to go out and get the players in, but we expect to definitely be in the playoffs next year.
Correct. So a lot to look forward to there with men's soccer next year. Last but not least here in the last portion of this 5 good minutes, Darlene McCracken, unsung hero here for the athletic department. 46 years of dedicated service here to the Whittier College, and she's now retiring this week. This Friday is going to be her last day. She's done a tremendous job. She was here when you started. She's been around, and no one really knows about her, but I thought we'd give her some, little shout out today on the Coleman's Corner, because a great job that she's done.
Well, yeah, she's done an amazing job, and we're going to miss her. It's just the perfect time for her, to retire, quite honestly, after 46 awesome years here at this institution, and I think 20 some odd with the athletic department. Her granddaughter's up in Portland. She has a daughter up there. She's going to retire up there, and she needs to enjoy the many more years she has here on Earth and kind of retire and get to that point. And she's done an amazing job for us. I can't, thank her enough for her friendship, her support, her effort here. Me coming in, a new person, obviously her being the assistant. I mean, you just never know how that's going to work out. And she's just been amazing to me. I love her to death, amazing to my family. And it's going to be tough to replace, but she needs to do this, and we've had great chats about this. This is an awesome time in her life to do this and be with her granddaughter and be up in Portland, which is an awesome quality of life place to live. So can't thank her enough. She's a Hall of Famer, to me.
Definitely.
And obviously her name needs to be in this room at some point.
For sure.
So, but we will never forget her, and we'll obviously, be in touch with her, and looking forward to her retirement party here on Sunday.
Yeah. So, Darlene, we're going to miss you a lot. You've meant a lot to this program for me as well. Like Rob, you've done a lot for me being here. This is my, 6th year being here as an undergrad, a graduate student, not working here in athletics. You've been a great help for me as well, so thank you. Now heading down to the last portion of our segment, we've talked a lot about everything here within athletics, but it's now called the rundown. Okay? 1-word sentences for each of these topics. Okay,
gotcha.
It's gonna be real quick. So maybe let's guide a thought. You don't even know what I'm gonna ask you, so you better.
So
it's gonna be good.
First time, so
this is the first time.
I'll try my best.
The inaugural section of the rundown. It's almost like we're thinking of PTI all over again.
Okay.
But here we go. First one. Men's water polo team.
Congratulations. Awesome job.
Deontay Jackson.
Great talent, and I wish him the best.
Rock Carter.
Old. But let me tell you, he's going to win a championship this year. I can feel it.
I like that. Johnny Poet.
I wish I saw him more, quite honestly. Does a great job. We need to get someone who just does that. That's their only job. But, yeah, I will say this much on Johnny Poet. I think it's one of the best mascots in the country.
True.
Even though some people may mock on it,
Uh-huh.
I think it's the best. It's very, very unique, and I'm
Yeah.
proud to be a poet.
Yeah, me too. Rock that purple and gold. And last but not least, the Dallas Cowboys.
Underperformed. Once again, my pro football team underperformed, and I'm really disappointed in that. But
I had to throw that in there for you.
Hopefully one day they're going to turn the corner for me.
Because I know my Chargers are in. I know Rock Carter's Chargers are in.
Yeah.
So we're having a great time. You've been with the Eagles and the Cowboys going back and forth, and the Melissa Gunny from athletic training staff. So it's definitely been some heated rivalries here in the athletic department.
It's been a tough final 3 weeks of the season.
It has,
as usual for me. That's
for you
how
with
it
the Cowboys.
happens,
So hey, at least Romo's back. Coaching staff's back for them, which is a good thing, I guess. But
we don't know.
We'll
Lance.
see.
I mean, 8-8. I don't
That's
know. I don't
true.
know what's good, what's
I don't
bad.
know.
But you know what?
Very true.
There's potential there, and hopefully they will get over the corner because
I think
I
they
like
need
Jason
Deontay
Garrett.
Jackson. I think that's what
Maybe.
they need. I think that's what they need.
They've called about him, so we'll see.
Okay, hey, that's going to do it for the rundown. That's Rob Coleman, Executive Director of Athletics. I'm Lance Franey, Assistant Athletic Director for Communications. Thank you for tuning in for the inaugural Coleman's Corner here in 2014.